I'm a skeptical yogi. I like yoga, clearly, but I recognize it might be doing harm to my system potentially. I don't know. I've been doing a particular practice every day for 3 years, haven't missed a single day in the morning. And at the height of this practice, at the peak, I'm either being transported through multiple dimensions of reality and being and dissolving into the ocean of pure bliss consciousness and witnessing the face of God, or I'm actively killing my brain cells and nearly passing out. Could be either. I don't know. I sincerely don't know, and that's why I would like your opinion. I have video footage of this, and I would like you to see it and let me know your thoughts. Before I show it, though, let me give you a little bit of background on what I'm experiencing and what's happening. On second thought, I'm just going to show the footage first, because that's what's more interesting. What's actually happening? This is one of the more intense experiences. Watch it, and then I'll kind of explain what's going on internally. Whew. All right. Yeah, let's pause it. So, you can probably understand why some people might look at that footage and say, you know what, I think that's a bad thing. That could be a mini stroke or a small seizure. Maybe you shouldn't be doing that to yourself every day. Maybe you're right, it is possible. However, I do want to offer you my backstory and kind of tell you how I got to this point and what I learned along the way. The short version is I was initiated into a yogic practice by an Indian guru. I won't say who at this moment, it doesn't matter. But this practice stuck. Unlike other techniques, this meditation I consistently did 6 days a week for 4 years, and now every single day without fail, haven't missed a day in 3 years. And I've added multiple techniques on top of it. One of them is this pranayama technique. 42 breaths. That's all it is. 42 breaths, not unlike Wim Hof if you're familiar with it. But at its peak, in the early stages, nothing would happen. And then as I did it more and more, particularly when I would exercise in the morning, then do my morning yoga and meditation, I started, one could say, tripping out in some ways. There are no drugs. This is the first thing in the morning. But it started, I would hear bells. I would do the height, I would breathe in, and I started hearing bells. That they weren't wind chimes or anything, but I heard them multiple days for weeks. I didn't know what this was. In fact, my heart wanted to tell me it was me hearing the chakras within my system. I don't even know if the chakras are real, but I know some people believe in them. And one particular yogi, Paramahansa Yogananda, from Autobiography of a Yogi, he talks about the chakras having different sounds. And he said the heart chakra sounds like bells. And I was like, maybe I'm just hearing my heart on a subconscious, maybe non-physical plane. Wouldn't that be cool? I thought so. So I kept doing this practice. Then the bells went away. Then I started to experience something. This is hard to describe, so bear with me. It was as if my consciousness itself went into high definition. So, if you were to close your eyes right now, you notice it's not all black. You see things. There are various subtle colors, and it's kind of moving around, right? In this case, when I do this practice, I focus behind my eyes, there's no frame rate. It's like a projector. Instead of flipping through, it just stops on one frame. Nothing moves. I'm often transported to, I shouldn't say transported to, I see gray or white usually. That's often the case, and they'll sometimes have cracks, sometimes patterns and shapes, but it'll be like black and blue is very common. But I see something in like ultra high definition, and then it fades pretty quickly. I get maybe a few seconds in there, and then I'm done. And it feels great. It honestly feels like a really good drug trip, but it just lasts a few seconds and there's no drugs involved, just air in your lungs. I think that's pretty cool. So I kept doing it. Then one day, I woke up and my little altar where I meditate in the morning was all messed up. The flower petals were scattered, the statues were, and I thought that was so strange. This happened a couple more times until one time my partner was over, and after I was done meditating, she said, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, I'm feeling fantastic. I feel great." She says, "You nearly passed out." I was like, "Really?" And she acted it out for me. And then I decided to record myself. Now, yoga's kind of a sacred thing for me. I'll call him my guru for now, even though he's never officially confirmed that he is such. But he doesn't like it when you write stuff down and try to over intellectualize everything. So I didn't think he would like me filming myself. That's almost like I'm a lab rat and I'm trying to like film myself. I felt it should have been a fully internal experience. But if I'm potentially damaging my brain, I should examine this to see if I'm doing harm to myself, right? So I did. Well, I'll show you the footage. All right, so after I learned that I was passing out almost pretty regularly, I decided to keep my eyes open during meditation. It's a little bit of a creepy looking frame. It's an intense photo, but I wanted to see if I would still hit that same state with my eyes open. Well, let's see what happened. So as you can see, it happened again, and it would continue to happen again. I filmed myself for like a month, and this kept happening, but I made a couple tweaks, and I'll show them to you now. So keep your eye on the far right. This frame, I chant a mantra in my head. Much quicker recovery. Much quicker recovery. But the question is it a good thing or a bad thing? Now, I've trained myself to be a glass half full kind of a guy. I like to see the silver linings in the cloud when I'm able. And I've heard about Kundalini. I would love Kundalini to be real. In fact, my yogic practice, if it's doing anything, maybe it's stirring that energy. But what is it? Yada, yada. Here's what I've been told, and here's a story I like to tell myself. Life hits you with different kinds of energies. People who have really high anxiety and freak out, sometimes the littlest thing can trigger or upset them and they start shaking and wobbling and and they lose their mind. I used to be like that. I worked at a lot of restaurants in the day, and while I was a nice guy, when things started going, I would get angry, I would get agitated. Once I started to do yoga, that stopped. In fact, life would throw more heavier shit at me, and it could just run off my back. I had less fear, and I could handle more intense experiences without losing my mind or my body or any of those things. I was able to maintain my bliss. So Kundalini, in my opinion, could be, or the way it's been described to me, the way Kundalini's been described to me is your energy body. You have the physical body, the mental body, emotional body, and overall energy body needs to be ready to handle this, whatever this is. It's like plugging like a 200 watt thing into a 100-volt thing. I don't know watts or volts. I don't know the terminology, but if you plug something into an outlet and the voltage doesn't match, that appliance might get blasted, it might short circuit, it might even catch on fire. So yoga, at least the bendy stuff and the body stuff, in a way prepares your system to handle more intense life experiences. That's why people who sometimes get spiritual, you'll find like life is on fast forward, you're getting hit with all this stuff, emotional, mental, physical, and it's rattling you up, and can you maintain your bliss? That was my goal. So I always interpret it as my body's prepping myself to be able to handle this energy. And I thought, what if this experience that I'm having, where I feel this huge swell of energy, is Kundalini, but I'm not ready for it? That's why maybe it's something in the throat, because I tend to always tilt my head. I don't know. I truthfully don't know. I also thought, what if my channels are messed up? Now, this gets into the esoteric stuff, but in yoga, there's the Sushumna channel, which is central. There's the Ida on the left, which is lunar. And then there's the Pingala on the right, which is solar. It's also known as feminine, masculine. And the two things, when you bridge those two channels down the central column, that's when the magic happens. So I thought maybe this one of the channels is messed up. That's why I'm tilting. So I tried to actively tilt towards this side during my practice. I'm like, I'll just lean this side. So if nothing else, I'll have the novel experience of passing out this way instead of this way. Didn't happen. All right, so you'll see a slight tilt to the right, but I tried to be conscious. If it feels like I'm going to pass out, just lean to the right. That's what I told myself. Let's see how that goes. Holding good, slight lean. I knew I was going down. I knew it was going to happen. Let's fast forward a bit. All right, in my own words. That time I at least went down consciously. I felt an energy surge that felt a little too overwhelming. And rather than pass out unconsciously, I decided to lean forward consciously. I didn't know if this was a bad thing. Am I hyperventilating and, my brain losing oxygen or something? Or is this some like Kundalini force and I'm not yet able to handle it? I haven't built a strong enough vessel to handle the power of the universe, the creative surge of godlike energy that's about to flow through me. I don't know. I spoke to a friend about it. She mentioned brain or hypoxia, something to do with the carbon dioxide and the oxygen balance in your brain. That one of them gets knocked off balance, and then you can pass out and do other stuff. I said, yeah, that could be the case. I didn't disparage it at all. I very well might be damaging my brain, but it also feels really, really good. And I hope I'm not David Carradining myself without the hard on. But it feels good when I do this. It feels like the most intense experience. It feels kind of like going up and reaching at the gates of heaven, if I may be so bold. It feels pleasant. So I explained this to her. I explained the Kundalini energy and what I've heard about how your body has to be ready to handle this source. And if it's not, you can mess yourself up. Maybe me like passing out was just me releasing the energy before it really does damage to my system. And she goes, you're giving yourself brain hypoxia and thinking it's Kundalini. Like, oh, go fuck yourself. We don't know what's happening. It might be brain damage. Maybe it is. Can we open ourselves up to the possibility that this might be something greater? I don't know. We're going to hold right there, because I was about to end this video here. I filmed the ending, but since filming it, I've had, well, let's go to the tape. I don't pass out. Let's just fast forward. It would be really boring to sit through a minute of that. But here's the experience in my own words. You'll see I'm teary-eyed. All right. Teary eyes. I want to explain what happened internally, but I also don't want to devalue what just happened. I found a mantra that I repeat to myself when I do the breathing. I repeat this mantra, and that anchors me to the point where I don't seem to pass out. I also found a point, something to look at, something specific. I can do it with my eyes closed, but then it's easier to just stay focused and be aware of whether or not I'm losing consciousness if my eyes are open. So I stare at that point, I repeat this mantra, and I just let my eyes relax, and everything becomes very steady. My eyes are twitchy. They like to move around. I've done staring exercises, and I can only usually last a few seconds before my eyes will twitch. Um, at the height of that, I feel like my eyes aren't twitching, and that feels like a win. I don't know if it's Kundalini. I don't know if it's brain damage. I don't know if it's just nothing, but it feels important to me, so I'm going to keep doing it.
It does feel important to me. And to prove that this wasn't a fluke, here are 3 other times since then where I have a couple rules. I smile, I wiggle my spine just a little bit, and I repeat a mantra in my head while focusing on a single point. So here you'll see the end of the practice. You'll see I kind of get the smile going, I get the spine wiggles in, both key ingredients. I'm keeping my eyes focused on that one point on the wall, and I'm repeating a mantra in my head. I won't say what the mantra is, you got to keep some things sacred. Uh, and I'll explain what's happening. Now, it looks like I paused it. I did not. I am just fully locked into place. What was happening initially is when I felt this surge of energy, I started almost going blind. Not that things went black. Everything disappeared except that single point, that dot I was staring at the wall. It became like a silvery gray. And I kept repeating the mantra. Then it came back into focus, but the wall kind of rippled almost like waves of an ocean. And then I was seeing it, but it had motion, it had depth. It was a trippy experience. Once again, no drugs involved. I do this thing first thing in the morning. I wake up, I do my stretches, I do this meditation, then I do this breathing practice. And look at, I still haven't even moved. That's wild. I really didn't realize I was this still, but again, it felt like perfect balance and perfection. Ever see the Rick and Morty where Morty stands on the thing that's perfectly level that Rick designs and then he steps off and he's like, "What? Everything's off." It almost felt like that. This is me where everything is in perfect balance. As you can see, it's coming to a close pretty soon here. But that's a long time to be locked in. My eyes do not like to stay focused, but my body was not moving a millimeter. Pretty cool stuff. All right, let's finish out strong. Deep breath. Last one. Look how happy I am. You have no idea how good that feels. It's really hard to describe it. Now, just to get a sense of how still I was, here's the same clip at 10 times the speed. Some wiggles, and once I'm in, I'm in. That might as well be paused. I find this fascinating. I'm gonna finish it out. So, does this change your opinion at all? If you had one, knowing that I can now do the practice and stay conscious. Again, when I filmed the ending to this, I didn't know that this was possible. I'm going to cut it back to me from 2 weeks ago. Take it away, JJ.
I don't know. I sincerely don't know. So I'd like to hear your opinions. Is that brain damage, or is that a greater experience of reality that I'm feeling? Is it worthwhile that I'm doing it? Is it dangerous that I'm doing it? Sound off with questions, comments, jokes, anything you wish. Just let me know your thoughts, and if you'd want to hear more about this in the future. I'd love to share these stories because, as I said, I'm a skeptical yogi. I want these things to be true. I want the good stuff to be true, but I'm open to the possibility maybe the bad stuff is closer to the truth. We'll find out in the future, maybe. Until then, I'm JJ Bitters.